All right, welcome back to another rendition of the Three Wanks FPL podcast. This week, going into Game Week 24, recapping Game Week 23. And as you can see, we've lost some dead weight. Luke is not joining us here today, so you're here with myself, FPL Vibes, as well as FPL Mack. Mack, how we feeling?
Pretty shitty, actually. Had a good day today, so small positives. But if you heard like a scream sound randomly in your living room, that was me. It might have sounded something like this. I'll do it again for effect. That was when I saw my game week rank. Just for a reminder for all those people who think I'm shit at this game, which is true. I was like 500k before this game week, and now I'm 745k, and I'm just like in the plunger. I don't think I've been here for 10 weeks or something like
Yeah,
that. It's been a
I,
while.
I was gonna say it's really nice that I'm not in the cone this week, so it's nice to see you. I think we both would have enjoyed Luke and his, but it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I love the chaotic energy you just brought. As you can tell, we have found some new toys that our sponsor StreamYard has provided us. So this could be an exciting. It could be some chaos, but we'll throw those in. And I mean, you can't be. We're both, I think, unhappy with the Premier League in general right now. But how about both of us in the Champions League today?
That's good. Somehow we are thriving. Our teams are, at least. We're not, but
No, we're definitely not.
it's kind of crazy that both of our teams are having like these crises. Your team less so, but I mean, I actually think that Tottenham's on pace for relegation right now, looking at the run of fixtures we're about to go into, and somehow we're fourth in the Champions League. I'm just going to gloss over the fact that statistically we had like the easiest run, but
Yeah, that's all right. We don't need to pay attention to that. You're on to the round of 16. It's fine.
mm-hmm.
No, for real. Well, we can jump in to why we're so upset and where we're looking at. I will admit, actually, I'm gonna let you go first this time. You're rocking the plunger. Let's see how your game week 23 went.
Well, should we start with Luke because he's not here?
Yeah, we can do that too.
All right, let's just do that. Typically, I'd go first because I'm in the plunger. Actually, before we do that, maybe we should do the overalls.
Yeah, we can definitely do the overalls. So if we throw up
Slash it up.
those, I mean, you can kind of see how the game week went because that red arrow there, it went upwards.
Yeah, I mean, two pretty stark lines. We don't have the labels on today, but Luke is at 1.3 million and I'm up to 745k, as I was just bitching about. So not great. Definitely opened up the gap. I was 20 something points behind you last week, and now I'm like 60 or something.
It's not that bad.
It's actually like 40, not too bad. But like I was 2 strong game weeks away from catching you, and now I'm like maybe two strong game weeks away from being caught by Luke. So not the direction we wanted to go. I don't think I've had that sharp of an arrow in a while.
No, it's definitely been a minute. I'm not mad about it. I put a little more distance between us. So I think you're 42 points behind me now. Luke's 68 points behind me. So built back a little bit of that cushion that once existed. And for the first time in a while, you can see my arrow on the previous one was actually going positive. That's shocking news. That hasn't happened in a minute.
Oh my gosh, right? Small positive, but you're there.
We take it. We take it. After just game week 16, just constantly going backwards. So we're back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm mad about it.
Cool. Well, getting into Luke's team real quickly. I guess that's not his team even. So Luke had 49 points, 5 point below average. Oh, what's up? We got a viewer, FPL Hippie. How's it going? I see you again. I have a message for the crowd. I think Sharp and I have a message for the crowd. Please direct your attention to the bottom. Luke stinks for abandoning us. So he had 39 points, game week rank of 8.7 overall. This guy sucks. I'm talking a lot of shit before I show my team.
I was going to say, there's a reason you're in the plunger this week. So
yeah, there's a reason I'm here. But, yeah, he had Wilson, Enzo, and Bowen, right? So Bowen, he's been talking about, probably saved his game week, I'd say. Wilson and Enzo are pretty highly owned. And then Dorgu being on the bench kind of sucks. But I think that was probably the right call, considering I don't think anybody expected Man United to thrash Arsenal as bad as they did. So he's just guaranteed 2 weeks in a row. I think the big thing is that he just wouldn't get Dorgu points because he had him last on his bench last week and this week. And so he's lost a ton of points on that. I think it was 15 last week. So that's Luke's overall team. Small red for him, I think, but nothing too major. Just one of those weird weeks where if you look at this team, you're like, that's actually a pretty solid team. But I think, like a lot of people, he got hit pretty hard by that Arsenal clean sheet wipe, and then just the sort of death triangle of Ekitike, Foden, and Holland all coming on to guarantee no sub points, but not returning.
Yeah, the rotations this week were absolutely brutal. I mean, we're sort of in the thick of it, and I get it, but it's tough to bank around that when you have limited amount of transfers and trying to put the best guys out there. I think a lot of people were hurt by that, and in hindsight, it's 2020, but the captaincy chips probably should have been moved since we all kind of had that gut feeling. But
yeah. You said last week feel strongly about your vice captain, and I thought Ekitike would play, and he didn't. I think this is Luke. Luke saying this guy's team looks nice. Some great picks. Can it? You're not on the pod.
That's crazy. So this guy can tune in and make comments, but he can't actually join us. That's a selfish behavior.
A little selfish right there. I don't know. We've shed a 1.3 million game weeks, though. Look at us rising on the pod with him not being here.
True.
Anyways, so getting into mine, I talked a lot of shit, but mine was astronomically worse. I think I had 11.6 mil game week rank, which is crazy because the two transfers that I made over the past 2 weeks were Van de Ven and Semenyo, who both returned. So like I wasn't on pace for a terrible week. I thought I'd be okay. But yeah, just like a lot of people, I kind of had that again death triangle of just Ekitike, Holland, Foden. Them coming on denied me the Rodgers 8-pointer too, which hurts. So just not a great week for me overall. I don't think there's a lot unique to cover here. But man, just the fact that I had 11.6 game week rank, 11.6 million game week rank is pretty insane. That means I lost to probably like 5 million inactive managers. And again, I was 500K last week. I was like trending upwards, right? And now I am so far back at the end of Saturday before Everton played. I was like 830K, or excuse me, end of Sunday. So pretty brutal. But we're getting on it. We're getting back here. So on the train, spoiler alert, I grossly overreacted and ripped my wildcard band-aid. So we'll cover that a little bit today.
I was going to say, you made the right transfers. It's just everyone else that showed out there. I mean,
yeah, I feel like really what I lost out on this week was Wilson, who I haven't owned. But I mean, I didn't really expect him to return last week. It's great that he is. I didn't expect that. And then I think anybody who went early on either Enzo or one of the Man United assets, because the Man United assets returned in a huge way, and those guys cost me a lot. And I think it was a very reasonable move to not go ahead of Arsenal. But I said last week, if Man United beat Arsenal, then I think we can consider them back, and I think they're back. So
I think they're back. It's going to be interesting to see, not to jump too far ahead, but how Dorgu, I mean, obviously Luke didn't get those points, and he's not going to get any points since Dorgu's going to be gone. So it'll be interesting
for 10 weeks.
Yeah, how that impacts everything. But they certainly look a hell of a lot better than they did under Amarim. So
oh my gosh, yeah. There's a great YouTube video, 442, 443, 433. I don't know. Adam Cleary does some breakdowns. He broke down the Man United Arsenal game. If you're interested in learning why they won, that was a fantastic video. Couldn't recommend it more. Arsenal had a lot of chances. To be fair, I don't think the scoreline reflects how good Arsenal looked in that game, but doesn't matter. There's a clear difference between how they're playing versus Amarim. But I'm jumping too far ahead. Let's get into the king of the game week, Sharp, in your green arrow.
Yeah, it's sad when our king is a singular point above average. Thank you. I was fumbling around there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a squad. Did have Wilson, did have Rodgers. So those were great coming in. The Gahey transfer actually helped me a lot. Great to see him now over at City and still on my team. As long as he continues to play, he's probably going to sit there because all of a sudden he's on a better team with the same skill set that he had before. But really, the hero of this game week is obviously my boy Barry.
Oh my gosh.
Before that Monday game, I was sitting obviously 13 points back from where I am now, 32, certainly on a red arrow. I believe I was well into the 300s, if not almost in the 400 range. And then I get the Barry return, and I'm going to tell you, everyone's giving me shit when I first brought him in.
Oh, I gave you so much shit. I'll take that on the chest, dude.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, that guy has proven himself, especially in a season devoid of strikers consistently. He has turned into a pretty consistent guy. And granted, they had a great run of fixtures that allowed him to do that. But I mean, at 5.7, I certainly don't have a reason to let him go right now. So I'm pretty pumped that he's just chilling there. I have more confidence in him than, Ekatike and Holland, who I'm paying ridiculous amounts of money for. And I'm simply gushing over him because I love him now. I'm probably his biggest fan in the world.
I think there was rumors that you said you would buy a jersey last week if he returned this week. You still on that?
I mean, yeah, we'll check the DH gate. We'll see. We'll see where we can find a cheap one.
Yeah, you better watch out. They really hate ripping up jerseys in the UK. They prefer ripping off fans. But,
well, good thing I'm not in the UK.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, to your point, I think where I missed out. Obviously, I was still impacted by the Holland and Ekatike. Arsenal, I mean, bent everyone over in specific ways. So there is that. But where I missed out is obviously the United guys. Same with you. I certainly didn't think getting them in for Arsenal was a priority, but going forward, certainly going to be a priority.
Yeah, I think having like one of the Chelsea guys makes sense. That run started 2 weeks ago, and Enzo was on a pen. So that was, something that kind of wasn't too surprising. I just didn't have them and didn't have the funds to move to them. Well, that's not even true. I had no money in the bank.
I think in hindsight, right, I could have gone Bruno G earlier. I held him to roll a transfer so that I could have two and get a little more flexible with it in case anything happened this week. Turns out it would have been fine just to go straight to Enzo and, pack it up and move on, but I'm not mad about it.
And I went this week. I used one transfer to go Bruno G to Semenyo, and I felt like that was a good move, and it was. He returned, so I was just kind of shocked that I guess the backbone of my team just did nothing. Between the double Everton clean sheet wipe, not having Rodgers play, not great.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's why you made a gut reaction decision.
I mean, it wasn't a gut decision. I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks, but enough people have called me idiots on Twitter for doing this that I'm like nervous about it. But at the end of the day, where my head was with pulling the wild card is like I just wasn't having fun, and I had so many injuries going into the game week. I pull up my game week review team. I have Mark Gui, who doesn't play, Dewsbury Hall, who did return, but Van de Ven's potentially injured, Timber's potentially injured. Just like not a good team structure either. A lot of things changing and not a great way to get into any of the guys who I'm going to need very soon, like any of those United assets, any of those Chelsea assets. And for just that like massive slew of reasons, I was like, I need to kind of get out of this. And, I'll probably get punished on the backside, but at least we're going to have fun. It's like, at this point, I think I can reasonably declare I'm probably not winning this season. So I got to go back to my old principle of just enjoying yourself. And so I ripped the wildcard Band-Aid.
There you go. I like it. You never know. You could rocket yourself up with those moves. We'll see. But what of this week's games? Obviously, we've started touching on some Arsenal and United and the surprise, I think, overall that was. Do you think this is indicative of United being on the way up? It kind of sounds like we feel that way. Or Arsenal, once again, trying to bottle a league?
I think it was probably a little bit of both. Referencing that 443 video, again, I watched. It was really interesting to see how United decided to go for it this week against Arsenal. Like historically, they would have, I think under Amorim, played a very defensive game, sat back, let Arsenal put some pressure on them, and that's when Arsenal gets you because they're fine taking those opportunities or not having much and then just getting you on a set piece, like taking a bad shot, getting a corner, having Gabriel get a header, right? Yep. I think United fairly recognized that and decided to take it to Arsenal. They were really aggressive in their press, which left them kind of vulnerable behind sort of their front line. But they had a lot of ball wins in Arsenal's defensive half, and they just had some overall great moments. And to be fair to them, they did the same last week against City, but I just wasn't sure how much of that was, City's pretty depleted, and City likes to play a high line. So to answer your original question, I think the fact that they did it against two relatively solid teams is pretty indicative that we need to be looking at their assets and quickly.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but obviously they have a good run coming up here. So I think it's a given that you're going for Bruno Fernandez, but you're also you have plenty of other options to complement him with. I think Bumo is obviously a very well picked one, and then you have Cunha there. But is there anyone else? Dorgu probably was one before the injury came out.
I had him in my original wildcard draft. He was great. He was 4.3 million. He's playing winger, and now he's out for 10 weeks.
The best league plans.
Yes.
Is there anyone else you're looking at outside of the top two? I guess I'll say Bumo and Bruno.
I don't know, man. I gotta look at United. Excuse me for a sec while I pull them up on off screen. I suppose I can provide a visual and just flash them.
Yeah, flash me.
Yeah, I'll flash you. So when I look at the United assets, maybe it's a good idea if we break them out by position group.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'll add this to screen and I'll zoom in again a little bit. I think that if you just sort the United assets by total points, like you're not probably going to see anyone who's super startling. Like Dorgu has 74 points, and for context, the top scoring defender right now, Gabriel, has 121. So closer to double than he is to Dorgu's score. So I think that puts some people off of United assets, and he's at least like from the get-go. But obviously, we know that their form is changing. It's a different situation now. I don't think that I would be going for a Man United goalkeeper, right? Like neither of us are going for Lemans.
Yeah, no.
Right? Like they're still, even in the last two games that they've finally generated some attacking returns, they've only kept 3 clean sheets all season. I don't think that, like, they might improve, but I'm not entirely sure about that. So I doubt anybody's going for United keeper assets. And then similar kind of problem for me for the defenders. Like Maguire has 42 points all season. He doesn't defcon a ton, even though he plays a decent amount, although I guess he wasn't playing.
He was injured for a good chunk, yeah.
Okay, see, it shows how much I've been paying to United. So if he can defcon consistently, he's maybe one I'm looking at. But my fear, again, with all of the United defenders is just that they don't clean sheet. And that is the primary way that defenders get points. Like, I feel like defcons are a nice bonus. They're a nice little value add. But if you're not cleaning, not sure. Does anything I say ring untrue to you? Do you disagree with any of that?
No, I agree with that. I think the only one, obviously, that you could have looked at was Dorgu, and it's not for defense. It's looking for the attack. And I would say Dallo was in that boat at one point. However, over the course of the last few weeks where he didn't do much for us, when I'm looking at like when I brought him in for Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley, and he sat there. Granted, now we've changed coach, but you can see that in the Arsenal game, still was not really an attacking threat by any means.
Yeah.
So
change coach, change formation, no attacking threat. He's not, unfortunately, running up the side like you would have in a back five playing a wing back role.
Right. So for all those reasons and that you've stated, I'm staying off the defenders. I think the real conversation could come around going Bruno, Bumo, Cunha.
Yeah, like is there a triple up in the midfield? Do you bring in like a Sesko maybe? Like I think this is probably where the meat of this conversation goes.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it can obviously be impact. I think number one, I think Bruno F is, if you don't have him, you're just giving up points and taking a chance you don't need to take.
Yep, you got to get him. The form's good. He's owned by 24% of the players at this point. If you don't get him, your rank is going to hurt every time he returns.
I'm honestly shocked it's only 25. I know he's just coming back and it's probably going to go up a lot over the course of this week, but I am a little surprised that that's only 24%.
No, I am too.
And then after that, I think is where you can have a little bit more of a discussion. I think Bumo, for me, is still, if you can't get him this week, you need him going forward because they still have a solid run there afterwards. So it's not like this Fulham game is a make or break. Obviously, he's played well the last two, along with the rest of their offense. So, why not put a guy in there that's returning when we just had a week where everyone else didn't return? It almost feels too easy to slide him in there, especially in
Yeah.
8.3. It's not like he's Saka or Palmer priced.
Yeah, he's come down pretty significantly since, before he was at AFCON. He was up to like almost 9 million at that point. So it's a good time to get into him. I will say the fact that Bruno Fernandes got an assist to Mbeumo last year or last week was a little bit crazy, because I don't really know if it's like an assist if you like tap the ball to him and then he scores like a 15-yard goal, like outside of the box goal. But so that one really hurt. But yeah, I mean, it was evident that these two are fairly central to the attack and getting opportunities and capable of taking them, was kind of my takeaway. So those are the two guys. I think the question really becomes, do we need a third United mid or player, period? And if so, who? If we are not confident about the defenders and Sesko's okay, he only played 9 minutes against Arsenal, 0 against City. So I don't think Carrick rates him if he's not playing him.
Yeah.
I mean, who are we going for? Xerxes injured. There's a second page if we really want to look at.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go second.
Obi. No.
I think the conversation comes down to if you have a lot of faith in Cunha. Luke's not here to tell us why we shouldn't have faith in him. I think the total points kind of speaks for itself. But I think he got a lot of hate over the course of the Wolves, Leeds, Burnley fixtures for not necessarily stepping into being like the one guy, but he lost everyone around him, right? Like Ahmed was gone, Bumo was gone, Bruno was hurt. Like there was a lot going on there that set him back. So if he is going to start being like a 9-point against Arsenal type of guy, granted it coming from a last minute goal that got them the win, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? I generally don't want, in my opinion, like 3 guys from the same team.
Yeah.
Even though they're about to play Fulham, Spurs, West Ham, like that's a pretty solid run. I think there are so many other good mids right now this year that it would be hard to squeeze in like Acuna, who's not guaranteed minutes and had 0.03 XG. So, and 0.01 like XA. Like it's a little bit tricky to squeeze him in an already crowded midfield, and they don't have striker options. So personally, I think that max I can go for is 2 United guys. But I think there's a case if you're really looking for like a differential for maybe like Acuna, probably not a Mount, but maybe like an Ahmed, Diallo.
Yeah, I mean, he's on my FIFA team, and he's amazing, so I would understand that. But no, I think you bring up a great point that the midfield right now is ridiculously crowded, and it's ridiculously crowded because I think Casemiro you could say is like a budget guy, but it's ridiculously crowded with budget guys that are actually returning attacking threats.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it was weird because at the beginning of the season, I felt like we were bitching like all of the guys we want are like there's just non-existent performers in like the 6 million range, and now I feel like it has gone completely out of that. Like we are stacked with relatively cheap assets. If I just sort by like 6.5 and below. I mean, you got Wilson with 114 points. Bruno Fernandes has 121. Now he was injured for some of that, but this is Wilson playing for Fulham. You got Garner with 101 points. You got Gravenbach. You got Anderson. And so even in this list, this of only 6.5 and below midfielders, Casemiro is what, 8th, 7th?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't seem great. And I think that if you're just trying to squeeze a United guy into the rest of the midfield, I mean, there's just so many strong candidates like Enzo with better fixtures, Garner who's a DEFCON merchant, honestly probably Gravenbach with maybe not better fixtures right now but better long-term fixtures starting in 26. So I think we've answered our question. Probably not on the triple up in United mid, and then probably not a convincing enough group of other players now that Droga's out.
Agreed. Yeah, I think we're aligned there. I think I like that. Looking at the rest of the week, just of games, and then.
Well, should we talk about the Arsenal players too while we're on the topic of the game?
Yeah, we can.
Don't mean to cut you off just while we're here.
No, I like it.
How are you feeling about Arsenal? Because the other side of this coin is that United won, but Arsenal lost, and we're going on. Let's see. They did clean against Forest. They did clean against Liverpool, but they didn't clean against Bournemouth, and they did clean against Villa. So, that's still 3 cleans in the last 5 weeks. I don't think anyone expected United to be that strong.
Well, they didn't clean against Villa.
Oh,
or
just
where
Gabrielle did because he was
yeah,
subbed
because
off
he got
early.
subbed
You're
off. That's
right.
where Luke had Raya and he got fucked.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely my fault there. Yeah. So, like, I mean, I think that the story is probably that the Arsenal guys are still pretty strong, and it was unfortunate that they conceded to United. But I'm willing to suspect that a lot of people probably have one of Saka or Rice or both.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the real conversation for the Arsenal midfielders are. Man, I hate the desktop FPL. Can you really not sort by midfielders and Arsenal? Oh, this stinks. I guess we'll just scroll.
It's hilarious.
So yeah, I think that the real conversation is probably around Rice and Saka, right? Rice is 2.5 mil cheaper, 26 more points. He's way more affordable. But I mean, in his last couple of games, he went 17 against Bournemouth, but then it's been 3-3-1. And Saka, I mean, what's up with him, man? He's gone like 4-3-1-2, and he's not even getting all the minutes. Like he's playing 23 minutes against Bournemouth, 77 against Liverpool, 33 against Forest. Like,
Yeah,
that's pretty tough for a 10 million asset.
100%. You've said out loud what I've been thinking about, because I currently, on my team at least, I have Gabriel, Rice, and Saka. I decided to stick with the mids there in terms of the three that I went with instead of Timber. And Saka is just, he's tough to validate having. The unfortunate, it's almost like we need Arsenal. I would never wish injuries on anyone. And to be honest, if I'm saying this, it's probably going to be Saka that ends up getting hurt, knowing his history. But they're so deep and have so much talent that Arteta feels very comfortable rotating games in and out. And that means Madueke is going to play over there and Saka is not at times.
Yeah, but also like Saka only has 4 goals in the Prem this year. Like, and there was a little
Yeah.
spell where he was out because of injury, but like he's not really putting it together. 4 goals. Look how far down we got 7 assists. So he's putting together some assists at least, but that's only a combined.
11.
Just for context, Mickey Van de Ven has 7 goals.
That's crazy.
That might not be a fair representation. I don't think all of those are in the Prem. But the fact that you have Saka scoring at a rate similar to a defender is not great for a 10 million asset. Saka has the same amount of goals of both Spurs center backs.
Yeah, that's insane. I do think the reason that you had him originally, or have had him, is because he was consistently, and he was at least touching and involved. Like, he may not have been the one scoring, but like the amount of assists you showed, he's obviously very central to their game when he's in. And he was actually getting some def cons at one point. I think he was definitely getting some bonus points. So he had this consistent floor, and right now it feels like that floor is gone because you can't trust his minutes.
Yeah, no, there's this period of time that kind of looks like it ended right around game week 12, where he was 14 def cons against Spurs, 12 against Sunderland, and then the games that he wasn't getting def cons, they were kind of thrashing. Like Crystal Palace, they won. Burnley, they won. And then there was just these other weeks where 7 points, 8 points, maybe not a goal, but an assist, right? That's like kind of Saka's role. He's not necessarily the goal scorer on the Arsenal team, and I can respect that. But then the well kind of dried up. Right around 16, we saw 3-7-6, and then it's been 4-3-1-2.
Yeah.
The fixtures have arguably been a little bit challenging. Bournemouth, Liverpool, Forest United is, not, you could take Forest out of that equation, but not the most difficult run, but not the easiest run. Yeah. To play devil's advocate for a second, do you think that his little dip in form is attributed to like just the fact that these past 4 teams are relatively competent, maybe excluding Nottingham Forest, and that with this change in fixtures, we should really be targeting Arsenal assets like Saka? Or do you think that it's a cover off with Rice or divest from the Arsenal midfielders completely?
Yeah, I think it's the fixture run that you brought up that looks really good going forward. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but 28 is a time you're going to hop off of kind of the aforementioned assets and Chelsea assets. So to be able to have a player in there that's going to have a good run past that you don't have to touch, that you feel confident in playing, I think is very needed. So for me right now, I'm looking, I haven't gotten rid of them yet because they play Leeds this weekend. So I'm going to keep them for that. And I had other transfers to make. But aside from that, I think Rice is the guy to own. I think, like you said, he's 2.5 million cheaper. He has more points. His form has dipped, but so has everyone else's. And I think he is a better lock to have those minutes. So I want to see. I would keep Rice right now. I'm looking to get rid of Saka probably after next week, maybe after Sunderland, just to open up some funds if I need those, because he allows me to do so much more. And right now, if I am to get rid of Saka, I don't think I need a third Arsenal player with Timber being hurt. I think Timber is obviously the guy you could go to if he comes back relatively quickly. But I think you need Gabriel, and then I would go Rice as my second, and then take or leave a third guy right now.
Yeah. It's interesting because Gabriel and Timber both have more points than Saka. So is there a case to be made for, instead of having a Rice, a triple up on Arsenal defense again? Because the one part of the team that's still relatively functioning is the defense from a clean sheet perspective. Do you think that's going to get worse with Timber potentially being out? But, he might be out, but it's only a knock, apparently. And then we have just this great run of fixtures. Like, is the Arsenal triple up back on? And because Rice isn't scoring, we don't need him? Or do you want to just cover off on that one Arsenal midfielder, maybe two defenders?
I still want to have a little bit of an attacking threat because I think they're still going to put goals in. And obviously you have Gabriel from the corner perspective, but I do think you need some open play threat as well.
Yeah.
So I would say I would stick with the midfield right now.
Yeah. I mean, he also has the right combination of set pieces, pens, etc. So pretty good there.
And I think as we've talked about the midfield being busy right now or crowded, I think the defenders are just as crowded. Like, I think you can get a lot of teams that have a lot of solid defenders to pick from at reasonable prices. So why go for the 6.41 or 6.3?
No, I mean, that's a good point. Like, if we, the Arsenal players are Arsenal obviously has the top defense right now, right? But Chalobah's in second with 114 points, still more than Saka. That's 7 points back on Rice. Tarkowski's got 112, so 9 points back on Rice. Guehi has 111. Now, I think some of the goals from both Chalobah and Guehi have dried up a little bit. But the fact that we have Tarkowski up there for Everton with 112 points, which is more than Saka, and 9 points back on Rice is not something to be scoffed at. And you're right, the Arsenal defenders are now all so expensive, including Calafiori, who's probably the third guy you would go to. Yeah. It's also just something to be said about some of the variety, right? Like, having 3 Arsenal players is fine, but they conceded 2 today in their Champions League game. Now, I know they had played a rotated lineup, but you're opening yourself up to just some more serious risk when you load up on a defense like that.
100%. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so I feel like we've decided we're sticking with. If we were building a team right now, the two of us, we're going Rice, Gabriel, Bruno, F, and Bumo. That's what we have.
Yep. All right. So slowly but surely, we're going to line on the wild card. So I'll stop sharing my screen for a second. You started asking if you wanted to cover some of the other games. Is there any other highlights you want to go over, teams to discuss?
I mean, I can give the weekly fuck Liverpool comment because I don't know why we're giving up 3 to Bournemouth.
Brother, we tied Burnley.
Yeah, I was going to get there.
Okay. If we want to have like a miserable off, I'll let you finish.
The reason I went Liverpool for it first is because I think both teams have slightly more intriguing assets.
Yes, absolutely.
Honestly, as much as I hated Wirtz the entire season, if you're looking for someone, I don't think you need to go there right now. But if you're looking for someone around 28 to flip into, Liverpool gets a better run there. And if Wirtz keeps this up, he, I think, has to be the guy you go to.
Scored in the Champions League today.
He did. And I'm obviously not having a lot of confidence in Slot and Salah's relationship and what's going on or what has happened in the past. But Salah also drove home a free kick today. He was on corners as well today. So if all of a sudden Slot gets his head out of his own ass and we start playing the way that we could play, I think you got to start paying attention to Salah, which could be really convenient given how bad Haaland is. But I'm just throwing those guys out there.
No, I think it's a great point. I mean, worth noting that this was against Qarabag today, the mighty Qarabag, who Spurs beat last year in their run up to the Europa League win. But I mean, Salah had the second highest goal involvement or expected goal involvement of all the Liverpool players with 1.28 XG plus XA. McAllister was the highest with 2. Ekatike actually bounced back a little bit. He had 1.3. Again, we got to put an asterisk on all of this. That it was, again, quarterback. The interesting thing is that even though Verts scored, he was, way down on the goal involvement list, right? He was behind Van Dijk, behind Robertson, behind Chiesa, behind Gakpo. So, but he's the guy who's kind of been consistently doing it. Like, he's scored in, gosh, how many of his last games between the Champions League and
he's been involved
the
in
Prem?
a lot. With the Prem, he's gone every other, I think, so far, right? You called that out last week as a 10.
That's a pretty good run for a reasonably priced asset.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 8.3, so he is Mbumo priced. I don't know if he's like that reasonably priced. It's incredible that he's that expensive. It's also incredible he's picked by 13% of managers.
Those would be the people that picked him game week 1
and never played again. Yeah. And probably the people who beat me this game week. But so he is definitely something to keep your eye on. And like you said, there is some pretty big upside coming in terms of just a fixture run. Newcastle in 24, City in 25, not great. The mighty Sunderland in 26, that is questionable. But then in 27, if you want to call Sunderland questionable, in 27 it for sure gets good, because then it's Forest, West Ham, Wolves, Spurs, Brighton, Fulham, Everton, Crystal Palace. And you could probably divest before like 35 when their run turns towards the end of the season with United, Chelsea, Villa back-to-back. But by that point, who knows with the doubles and blanks anyways, there's not really point of planning out that far.
Agreed. I unfortunately don't think you can look at Sobo anymore. I love him as a player, and he's going to continue being the best individual on the pitch. But Frimpong went down today, 4 minutes in.
So 4 minutes in. What's up with that?
If he's hurt, like for real, I think they called it a hamstring at the time.
Oh my God.
If he's hurt for real, you put Sobo right back.
Yeah, and then he's scoring on the occasional free kick, and that's it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunate there, something to monitor, I suppose, because he's only 6.6, I think. So you're talking in game week 28 going Enzo to Sobo, which maybe by then Frimpong's back. That could be a real transfer that gets you a cover off on some decent fixtures.
Yeah. What are you thinking about the Gravenberch situation, by the way? Because Gravenberch actually has more total points than Sobo does this season, but he played in center back this week. So is he a viable differential in the midfield right now, or do you think he's going to stay? Because Konate went off injured, right? Do we have a timeline on his return, or is he just dropped because he sucks?
I hope he never comes back. No, we did bring in 2 center backs. Granted, one of them's really young; he's not going to play. But in
January, you brought in center backs.
Yeah, we brought 2.
How did I didn't hear about this at all. Who are they?
Well, like I said, one's really young, and the other one, I forget his name, but I'm pretty sure we paid well into the double digits, like somewhere between 20 and 40, wide range for him.
Where did you guys get this money? You've spent more money in the past like 6 months than some teams are worth in the Prem.
Yeah, it's the Bank of I can't even say his name. That's tough. It just keeps on giving. That's all it is.
Cool. But so is Gravenberch going to stay at center back, you think, or is that was just a one-off?
The reason I texted you guys before the game and said I actually really liked it, so here's why I hope that he does stay back there, is because already with Trent last year, what he was doing was essentially dropping into a center right back position pretty much every time because Trent was up the field. So I think he's used to doing that already. I think the best part of his game is his defense and the defensive mid. So if you can drop him back and he can play next to Van Dijk and that's like we look okay back there, the threat that opens going forward then is so nice because you have so many creative guys in there that if you actually start just playing an attacking brand that isn't just so damn slow and painful to watch, it could be exciting on the offensive end. So I'd like to see him stay back there. And if this, again, we have to put an asterisk next to it, but if this is an indication, I never would have said they were scoring 6 goals against the MLS B team. So,
Yeah. No, I think those are great points. So probably not a viable pick, though, if we have a midfield dropping back in center back then. Okay. So Verts is a maybe. Sabazai is a no. Gravenbach's probably a no. Any other assets to consider for Liverpool? Probably not, right? Like, it's unfortunate with that run of fixtures coming up, but maybe this is just a good wait and see moment. See how they do against Newcastle, see if it's City, and then if it looks like they've turned a new leaf, you can time it well for 26.
For sure. I think the one guys we Ekatike, I guess, is your other option.
Fuck that
And
guy. I don't
then
even want to talk about him.
I know, but Salah and Van Dijk are both just still too expensive for what they do. So
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Liverpool players probably justifiably are always priced like $1 million higher than they should be, and I hope that next season the Liverpool players regress to like the reasonable territory again, so I can pick them, because it's tough when like every single one of their players starts like 3 million higher, 3 mil higher than everybody in their same position. Like Isak started at 10, which made sense, but Verts, where was he, like 8 or was he 9?
Oh, he was. I think he was 8.5 or 9. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
5.
just like crazy. Unproven player in the Prem starting $1 mil higher than like Semenyo. That was a little bit.
It was $1.5 million. I know. Semenyo was 7 though.
Yeah. See, so I mean, again, a ton of hindsight bias there that I acknowledge, but
For sure.
What else? Who else played this weekend? So just running through some of the fixtures from this past week. Stop me when you hear something interesting. West Ham pumped Sunderland 3-1. Kind of surprising.
I was going to say the only reason I find that one surprising is if that defense can't hold up against West Ham, how do we feel about having Mukiele really as that low-price defender?
No, that's an interesting point, and I have him in my wild card right now. And to be fair, he's gone 11-4, 3-3, 6-4. So pretty solid returns from a low-priced guy. But I mean, his points against West Ham came from getting an assist. He got an assist against Palace. He hasn't had great goal involvement in a lot of the other games leading up to this, and the fixture run's kind of terrible. Like, he's got Burnley this week, so if you have him right now, it's probably a great play-in this week. But then it's Arsenal, Liverpool, Fulham, Bournemouth, Leeds, Brighton, Newcastle, Spurs, Villa. Some of those you could argue are not as tough as others, but I don't think you could argue that many of those are locked on clean sheets, right?
Yeah, fully agreed. Again, if you're giving up 3 to West Ham, like, I'm not saying you're keeping it clean against much of anyone except for Wolves at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Does this say anything about West Ham? I mean, it's not saying a lot, but in the last 3, they beat QPR in the FA Cup, and I mean that's really, again, it's really not saying a lot because QPR are literally a league down and like mid-table a league down. So West Ham will have fun beating up again on them next year when they're in the championship.
Right.
Then they beat a Spurs who honestly West Ham honestly are on relegation pace. So like beating Spurs, great, but not probably indicative of anything. And then Sunderland. So, I mean, it's a slight uptick in form, but are West Ham back? Are they escaping relegation, or like you think they're still kind of shit?
I still don't think they're good. I think the only interesting piece of it, Bowen's always been a guy that we have on the outskirts, and it's more so if you want him in versus someone else that has a good fixture run at that time. Like, I think to me, Thiago, he's better. He's the best of these options, but Thiago, JP, and Bowen are those guys that I'm like, I could flip any of you out and I will either be disappointed or happy, and I'm not going to be surprised either way.
Yeah, I think Bowen would be a lot better of an asset if he was classified like a midfielder, like he should be. He doesn't get as many bonus points because he's a forward, and he has 105 points, and he's only 7.6 priced, so it's pretty solid. But he's probably realistically the only guy. I mean, the highest scoring West Ham defender is 45 points. Areola is 49 points.
The only guy that I'm going to keep paying attention to, and I haven't looked at his minutes at all, I just feel like I see his name in the box scores every weekend, is Somerville.
Yeah, Somerville's got 56 points. He's started playing more, so he had iffy minutes, and I don't know whether that was due to injury or just lack of trust. And obviously, they've had different managers, but pretty much since game week 15, he's been pretty consistent. He's played full 90 in the last 4, and in those 4, he's gone 2, 4, 8, 10. It's, again, sort of just like a question of they play Chelsea next, Burnley following that, then United, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Fulham, City. So even if I was super interested in them, it's not like they have a great run.
Agreed. I think the takeaway is Bowen if you want him, and I would be wary of Sunderland's defenders.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, to be honest, even amongst Bowen is third amongst forwards, but he's got 1 point above João Pedro.
Yeah,
and
João
Pedro's just got such a good run coming up that I can't see it. And João Pedro's also 0.4 mil cheaper. So cool. Agreed. All right, a lot to talk about with West Ham. Probably spent more time on them than they deserved.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
Let's see. Other games, Fulham, Wilson scored again is probably the highlight there. And then also Sharp's differential call of the week, Ayari. Didn't pronounce it remotely right the first time.
It was a tough one. I was just gonna let you go with it.
Yeah, and Chukwueze got another one. Top tier name, have her right there. I love that name.
I was gonna say I love that you said that one perfectly, but Ayari is what threw you off.
Look, man, I'm a ball knower.
Yeah, fair enough.
I know ballers, and now I know Ayari.
Why? I don't know why those two are exclusive. Ayari is a baller. Come on.
He's a baller now. He wasn't before.
Fair enough.
If I don't know, you're not a baller. Okay. Anything to say on that? I mean, like, pretty solid that Wilson keeps going. I'm just yet again pissed that I don't have him. But I mean, there's probably not like another Fulham asset that anybody's looking at. I mean, Anderson's got 86 points, which is decent for a 4.5 million defender, but Fulham have kept 5 clean sheets all season. Wilson is obviously leading the line and doing great. The fixture run is pretty decent in the next couples, but I'll say too, like pretty much through 31, they go United, Everton, City, Sunderland, Tottenham, West Ham, Forest, Burnley. So it's a pretty solid run. I think Wilson's the only guy on Fulham I'd remotely be looking at though, probably.
Yeah, agreed. As someone who has someone else on Fulham, I don't think you need to look anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. And then on the flip side of that, Brighton, they're the guys on defense that like I feel like I want. Like I feel like Van Hecke, I'm like, oh, he's gonna be good. And then he's not. And so I don't really have anyone over there that I'm super interested to in this very moment.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the most points. Van Heck's got the most points of any of the Brighton. I think he actually might be the highest scoring Brighton player, which is pretty insane. But I mean, I was looking at him on my Wildcard because he's a 4.5 mil price player. So that's an enticing price point when you're looking for that odd rotational guy. And, you know, in their next 4, they go Everton, Palace, Villa, Brentford, Forest. So it's a pretty solid run. It's just that they don't clean a lot.
Right.
You know, 4 clean sheets all season. Van Heck gets DEFCON sometimes, but not that consistently. Like he's not DEFCONing every game. So I don't know. I'm not really thinking there's a Brighton asset I want. And you were saying Iari is the differential who maybe I could look at. But
I kind of like. I obviously am way too partial to Brighton for some unknown reason.
It's true. You really like them.
Psyche, but I do think with that fixture run, we're talking Mukiele possibly, but not trusting Sunderland. You switch that 4.5 over to someone that has proven himself as well, just with slightly better team form at the moment. I mean, I guess they just lost to Fulham, so I don't know about that. But I mean, I would keep him on your shoulder. I think Iari, when I sent you a couple screenshots last night, I think he just allows you to free up a lot. And
yeah, he's pretty cheap.
He's 4.8, and he's technically playing. Like, it's not terrible.
Yep, no, it's fair points. Okay, so we're starting to get into like the less important games, but a game that I do want to talk about is Brentford Forest. Brentford lost, and they lost in a big way. They lost 2-0 to Forest.
I think
it wasn't with a really heavily rotated lineup or anything like that.
No, I think it's time. And we got burnt for doing this last time, so you'd think I would learn, but I think it's time to get off Thiago for a little bit. I think you can come back to him in a few weeks. But I think he's going to be cold for a little bit here. So I'm losing faith there. Shade has obviously been someone that people are talking about. He kind of excites me, but not right now. I still give it a couple weeks. Because I'm cooling on Brentford. I don't think Brentford and Brighton are that different, right? Like in total, I view them very similarly. So I expect them to kind of regress back to a mean. And you just lost to Forest.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that the re-entry point, if you do get off someone like Thiago, is 28, because then they got Burnley, Bournemouth, Wolves, Leeds, Everton, Fulham, United, West Ham. That takes you through 35. Pretty solid game. But from 24 to 26, it's Villa, Newcastle, Arsenal, and then a maybe fixture, Brighton in 27. So I think if you have like a Thiago, you could get off of him right now. And then potentially pick them back up in, like 26. Or if the question really for me right now is, does it make more sense to just wild card hold him if you're a wild card this week like I am, and just hold him for that turn because I think we'll want him again in a couple weeks. Like, is there a forward who is putting his hands up in a big enough way, like a João Pedro with his fixtures? Is that an easy 1-for-1 in a couple weeks to get off Thiago, or do we just bite the bullet?
Yeah. The funny part is I'm doing exactly what you just said without a wild card. I went to JP and I'm planning to go to Thiago in 27. So
Got it. Like it.
That's my take.
No, I like it. I think that's pretty solid. The only other guy I was considering from Brentford when that form changes is Collins.
Yeah.
You know, for some reason, like he's just fairly attacking. Whenever I watch him, he's on the end of a lot of, like, for a defender, he's on the end of a lot of the Brentford stuff, and he had 9 versus Tottenham, 10 versus Everton, 13 versus Sunderland. But again, that's kind of like a wait and see for me. So not a lot to say there. Do you think Forest are back? You pitched Murillo to me earlier this week. Is that?
I did, but you asked for differentials, right? Because it was a pretty standard wild card, so I wanted to get a little
I'm not
crazy.
shitting on it by any means. I'm just asking.
Oh no, sorry, that wasn't me like arguing it. I was just saying why I did it, because I'm not saying like every person should be looking at Murillo right now. To be fair, I think it is only if you're really looking for differentials. Do I think Forest are good? No, I wouldn't call them good, but I think their individual players can still put up points without being a good team.
Mm-hmm. What about someone like an Anderson? He's 5.3. The Forest fixtures are not terrible, and he does DEFCON in pretty much every game. So the upcoming Forest fixtures are Palace, Leeds, Wolves, Liverpool, Brighton, City. A relatively mixed run. But
you're looking at someone that cheap, that's okay.
Right, exactly. Now, there is an argument to be made that Garner is around the same price and offers functionally the same thing. If I sort by just midfielders with total points, I think Garner is
a little bit higher. Stay that way with Dewsbury Hall back?
Well, yeah, because Garner was playing the entire season.
I know he was, but he wasn't putting up points like he is now.
Yeah, but I don't think that the reason you'd go for a Garner is points. He got 116 haul against, conveniently, Forest in 19, but then he's really just been a floor guy, not a ceiling guy, right? Like, he's going 5s and 4s, the occasional assist maybe, but really just racking up a ludicrous amount of DEFCONs in most games.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, and so this is just a review of all the guys who are considering as assets mostly, I think, is what this is turning into, because I'm wildcarding, so it's good to discuss team by team. Let's see, who have we not talked about? I've intentionally left Spurs off because I don't want to talk about them. City beat Wolves 2-0. That's impressive. Semenyo scored, go me, brought him in. And then City also played in the Champions League today. And they did, because I forget.
I think they lost, didn't they?
No, they beat Galatasaray 2-0.
Never mind.
And Holland scored and Cherki scored. So, interestingly enough, Doku went out injured was my main call out today. I'm not sure how bad of an injury that is, but if Doku is indeed injured, does that open the door for Semenyo?
I mean, I don't want it to, because I want to be able to stay off Semenyo and not try to work him into my team. But I think that's exactly what it would do. I think that does open up the opportunity, and he's already proven in the majority of games he's played with City, no matter what rotation it is, that he's returning.
Yep.
So I feel like it's hard to keep him off if I'm a manager, right?
And he's like 50% owned. 48.2. It's crazy. He's the highest owned player in the game, ahead of Holland. That's not true. Why does it say 1? There's no way he's ahead of Holland.
No, Holland's like 70 something.
Yeah, Holland's 72%. Oh, because it's 1 of 300 midfielders, not one of all players. Got it. So he's the number 1 most owned midfielder.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, Semenyo's someone I'm considering. The problem with him for me is just that he's expensive, and then City have been showing the inconsistent form. But if you have a Foden and you want to stay true to the City guys, especially with their decent run, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to grab a Semenyo now that Doku's injured. What I don't know, to be honest, was the extent of Doku's injury.
Yeah,
I haven't honestly looked at it. It was a pretty early exit, though. I think it was before half. Let's see. I'm doing some live breaking news. They said that he's definitely missing this weekend. He was forced off with a calf injury. So, I mean, if you have Semenyo, he could be an easy hold for at least one more week. He's probably playing. I can't imagine Savinho is going to come in and take that spot.
Yeah, I think that's a great call.
What are we doing about our boy Haaland? He scored today versus Galatasaray, but I mean, he's been on a terrible run. Some of the wildcard drafts I've been able to make have been so spicy without Haaland. My fear, though, is that literally every season, if you're a ball watcher like I am, City has this midseason slump. And then, like, right around now, they just remember that they're a team, and then they go and win the league. And you're like, okay, it was fun while it lasted, dreaming of someone else winning.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's not a 1-for-1. Like, this is a completely different set of players. We can't say that that's guaranteed to happen, but like, Haaland's so expensive. His price actually fell tonight.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is it worth keeping him? It's the real question. I mean, he's the number one scoring player, I think, in the game still, by like significant margins. You know, he's got 36 points on Semenyo, who's number 2. So even with his slump, even not returning in 5-6 games, he's still far and away the best forward. It's just that he's really expensive.
It is, and I think that's what the decision comes down to. I think only you can make this choice for yourself, because you're going to get screwed either way, essentially. So I'm not going to give great advice or give one you should follow. I think you just have to be aware that what you're going to get burned a couple weeks or a few weeks or possibly the majority of the weeks, but it's hoping that you can make it up in the aggregate.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're not saying he's going to blank because he's 14 whatever for a reason. You're just hoping that you're minimally hurt by it and you offset it.
Yeah, if you can offset it with enough convincing options who you really think are going to.
Yeah. Or you wait 2 weeks and Salah says, I'm Salah again. That'd be kind of sick.
That would be sick for you and probably nobody else.
Well, all right.
You and all your Liverpool supporters.
Yeah.
And I think everyone else will be shitting themselves because they just have no easy way to get into him. Is mainly where I'm coming at with that. I like Salah, obviously. Cool. Nothing to say about Wolves, probably.
No, nothing there. I just wanted to say, because we were talking Champions League, that 5 of the 8 top qualifiers or automatic qualifiers are Prem teams.
Yeah, it's a joke. The Champions League is a deteriorating product. I really don't think that the Prem should have like 9 teams in Europe. Sue me. But like it's a little ridiculous at this point, right? And I think that, getting on a real high horse for a second, I think that the changes to the group stages have made me a lot less interested in watching the Champions League. Like, I barely tuned in and Spurs finished like 4th.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. I don't need to watch Premier League games in the Champions League game. Like, I'm okay without that. I think it's fun to give the other teams, like smaller teams, a shot and viewership. So I think that's fun. And I just can't care. Like, you have 8 games. Like, and it's not like it's a head-to-head thing. Like, all you have to do, you have to get 9 points to advance.
Yeah,
like,
there's no jeopardy. Like, you're not really at risk of, if you're a Prem team, you have so much money, you're not at risk of falling out. Like, if you like, a lot of respect to a lot of the teams in the Champions League. I'm a huge fan of the diversity of the sport that we get. But I mean, you're looking at teams like Kiryat, like great team, cool logo. But they're in Kazakhstan. Like, the entire team budget is nowhere near that of, a Prem team. Like, they sold a player for 120K to Betar Jerusalem. Like, that's the level that we're like we're operating with right now. Like, 120K. You can't even get a 16-year-old in the Prem for 120K. Again, no disrespect to them, but it's just like, there's just not a lot of jeopardy, right? Yeah. There might be some jeopardy now that we're getting in the round of 16, but whatever. This is a Prem podcast. We don't need to. Luke would be mad about us for talking about this if he was here.
He'll get over it. Maybe he'll
get over it. This is probably a good time for me to just remind everybody that Luke stinks.
It's a fantastic call. Good use.
Yep. Good use. Cool. Yeah, I don't feel like there's a lot more to cover. Nothing interesting happened with Spurs that doesn't even warrant a discussion. It was an easy win versus Burnley. Oh, wait. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, just horrible. It's nice to see that our center backs are at least taking it away. But if I filter by Tottenham goals scored, like it's not looking too great.
What do you think would happen if you put your back line with United's attack?
Oh, that would be such a sick team.
That'd be fun. I would watch that.
Oh my god, yeah. Arguably, United should have strengthened their defense last season instead of their attack. And like, I don't think it's that surprising that Ruben Amorim didn't have a lot of success because he's a defensive manager and didn't get defenders. But I'd argue that Spurs, in an isolated four, not based on a performance, but just purely player to player, have one of the strongest back fours in the league right now. You could argue perhaps an Arsenal, but like I think that Arsenal would be more than happy to have a lot of the Spurs players in their team, and I don't think you could. I think you could maybe argue for City, not Liverpool right now. You know, Van Dijk's obviously great, but with just Konate and Robertson being old and Frimpong not being able to stay healthy, I think pound for pound, Spurs might have one of the best back fours, and then put it on with Acuna and Mbumo, and a Bruno Fernandes. Oh my God, you're cooking.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I like that.
Yeah. So, well, some team will get to like it next year when they try to sign Van de Ven off us. So
yeah, Liverpool's trying, baby.
And yeah, I mean, Van de Ven has obviously said he wants to leave because we're just so shit, and it's just annoying to have like a great player and not capitalize him. But that's the Spurs way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's listed. I don't know how true this is, or if I'm getting centelled. I think it's a little combination of both. That we keep talking to Zabi, which would be awesome.
Zabi. Yeah. Alonso.
And, in the summer. And the guys that he is Wharton, Van de Ven, and like Olise, and like one other guy.
I mean, that's amazing. But if you guys go and drop another £500 million in the summer, like everybody wants Wharton and Olise and fucking Van de Ven. That's like £300 million in players right there.
We'll probably sell Salah because he doesn't use them.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to get a ton of money off for Salah, right?
Like, I don't know.
Can you even sell Salah? You just signed him to a $400K a week contract. Who can afford that? Saudi, probably, if Salah wants to go there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, why not?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that Salah's ready to be done in the top, though. I would expect that if you guys got rid of Slop, you might see a return to form for Salah, because it's not like he had a bad AFCON, right?
Right, true. Yeah, he put 4 in there, I think.
Yeah. But last thing on Spurs, genuinely starting to get concerned that they might get relegated.
They're not going to get relegated.
You say that, but they're in 14th. They are up 8 points on West Ham, and their next 10 is cheeks. Like, they play City, United, Newcastle, Arsenal, Fulham, Palace, Liverpool. That gets us to 30. So the next 6, I'm not convinced they're going to win any of those. And then from 31, you play Forest, Sunderland, Brighton, Wolves. And based on recent form, I'm not convinced they're going to win any of those either. We've already proven we can't do it against Wolves this season.
That's kind of a crazy lineup. I didn't realize. Like, I knew to be off Tottenham, but I did not realize how off I wanted to be.
Yeah, it's bad, dude. Like, and I don't know. I think that there's an argument to be said that like 70% of our attack is injured. Like, you got to feel Frank a little bit, but it's just like last year I was seeing what Postecoglou wanted to do. And, Kudus injured, Kulusevski injured, Madison injured, Bergvall injured, Bentancur injured. Polina just got a knock this weekend. And so you're playing Wilson Odobert, who is 20. You're playing Matthias Tell, who is 20. Sorry, Odegaard is 21. Tell is 20. And you got Solanke leading the line. You got an on-loan Kalamawani who looks terrible. And then our next striker is Dane Scarlett, who is 21. Like,
yeah, that's tough.
I mean, honestly, my complaining aside, I think the real message here is target Spurs from a defensive standpoint.
You're also, wow, okay. I didn't realize you're only 3 points away from 17th.
Yes. It's bad, dude. And with this next run, I think it could get real ugly.
I hope it doesn't. I like Tottenham.
I think you might be the first person who's not a Tottenham fan to ever say that. I appreciate that.
I mean, I just got nothing against them, and I like you, so why not?
Hey, thank you. Well, I feel mutual about Spurs because it's like, who do I want to win the league that's not us? Arsenal, obviously not. City, I have moral qualms about that. It'd be nice if Liverpool won because they're not a direct rival.
Well, don't worry, that's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. So we're both down bad with our teams, but different levels of bad. I'm curious at this point how long Frank can last. Genuinely, the board seems to continue to be backing him, but we've seen what the Michael Carrick new manager bounce does when someone competent gets in there. The only counterpoint is that Spurs just don't have a lot of people who can put the ball in the net right now.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, yeah, it was a new manager thing, but I also think there's a big shift in how they're playing, obviously, as you've noted, and they have the talent. It wasn't a talent problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exactly. And unfortunately for Spurs, when you look at the quality of their front line injuries, aside, it's I don't think, unlike the back line where you could argue pound for pound, they're probably up there with top defenses. I don't think you could make an argument that they're up there for top offenses or even close.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're not going to win if you're not scoring. So, all right, we got it out of the way. We finally talked about them. Not a lot of FPL implications there, although I did transfer in Van de Ven and he scored last week, so that was nice.
True.
I really thought he might have clean sheeted though against Burnley. That's actually insane. Cool. Any other big games that we missed? The only ones we really haven't talked about were the Bournemouth side of the Liverpool game. Chelsea beat Palace and Villa beat Newcastle and Everton conceded. So I guess from an asset standpoint, these are some bigger games. The only thing I'll say about Chelsea is I know that everyone's moving on them because the fixtures are good. But man, Chelsea have not been able to keep a clean sheet really since Ross Sr. came in, and that I find surprising.
I mean, I don't know much about his past or how he would want to play specifically, but I agree that I noticed that, and I was very cool on Chalobah. Like, I don't have him in yet. I'm not super worried about not having him in yet. I know he's still the second or third highest scorer, but just the way they've been playing recently, it looks like an Enzo, it looks like a João Pedro are the guys you would rather have.
Do you think Chalobah was worth it? Great run of fixtures coming up, but he's 5.6 mil. It's really expensive. I mean, it's not that expensive like when you're looking at defenders this year, but like but you
can also look at the lower guys that are still putting up solid. Like Gay's only 5.1.
5.2 now, I think. But I mean, yeah, so like I would expect him to clean against West Ham, Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley. I think that's why everybody's going there. But, I think a lot of Chalobah's early season points came from some of his goals. I felt like he was scoring or assisting in most weeks. And then he hasn't had an offensive contribution since game week 14. And in that time, he's gone 1, 11, 9, 3, 0, 1, 4, 3, 8, 4. So threw a lot of numbers at you, but a couple returns, but they're really only coming from clean sheets plus DEFCONs. He does relatively consistently get DEFCONs, to be fair. But he's like barely hitting that threshold, like 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. I think I would have to look at a team to say if he was worth it or not. It's hard to say out of like in isolation, but I think if it's someone you believe in, I can see the pull to him. But like you said, 5.6 is expensive. So I think it just depends on the other guys you have around him. If you don't have faith in a Timber,
who does it enable?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. Anything else? Any other fixtures? I mean, Liverpool lost. Bournemouth looked good. It's a little bit of a bummer, I think, from a neutral perspective that Tavernier went off injured. I believe it was Tavernier. I'm not making that up, right? He was injured. Maybe it was his last game.
I know. I'm not sure.
But, I mean, Karupi Jr. is someone I'm looking at a little bit, but he did get subbed at the 67th minute. So that's a little tough. Do you have any love for Evan Nielsen right now?
Despite what Bournemouth did to us, I don't think that their offense is going to continue to be what it has been. Like they might still try to go up and down, but I think Semenyo is so much a part of that offense that it's hard to say that they're going to keep it up. So I'm still pretty cold on their assets in total, and I'm going to wait and play it out. But I'm not really looking for any of them right now, though.
My only counterpoint is that the run is pretty amazing. So Wolves in 24, Villa Everton, West Ham, Sunderland, Brentford, Burnley. That gets you to 31 when it then switches, and you probably want to divest from them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I think the part is where you can fit them in because you still want to, like, I still think you prioritize the Chelsea, United, those assets above them. So
Yeah.
I feel like, if I get them, I get them, I guess.
It would be nice to have confidence in Krupi's minutes.
Yeah.
Because I think that they unfortunately did sign another forward in the January window, if I recall correctly. I saw that, and I'm afraid that that might take away from some of his minutes. I can't even confirm what his name is, but I think it might have been. I don't know his name. I thought they signed a forward. Maybe it was Eni Zunal. He's been playing sporadic minutes, but either way, I kind of generally agree with your point. I think Senesi was someone I was looking at, but Bournemouth just concedes so much that it's really scary. I think Tavernier would be the ultimate enabler if he wasn't injured at 5.4, but
Yeah.
oh well.
Yeah, it looks like they still don't have a timetable for that return either. So.
Yeah, right. And so, like, I don't know. The only thing I will say on Bournemouth assets, and I have nothing to validate this of. This is just one person's opinion on Twitter, but someone did also say about Evan Nielsen, like, don't let the numbers fool you. He's looked terrible, and they seemed to be a Bournemouth fan. So I don't know if any Bournemouth fans are going to watch this and want to weigh in, but it would be nice to get the perspective from someone who actually follows the team. Like, are the numbers maybe hiding some deficiencies?
Yeah.
Last thing, I think, last game to talk about, Newcastle lost to Villa.
Yeah.
Rodgers had an assist, 8-pointer. Watkins scored. But then Tielemans went out, which is a little concerning. He's pretty integral part of that Aston Villa squad. Kamara's also out. Ross Barkley's out. John McGinn's out, who's another pretty integral part. So they did just suddenly lose like some of the core components of their midfield. On the flip side, though, the fixtures are pretty great starting in 27. Leeds, Wolves, Chelsea United, West Ham, Forest. Like, a lot of people have Rodgers. He's up to 7.7 mil now, I think. But are we convinced they're going to be functioning? So a lot of people seem to be moving to Watkins, but he's 10 mil.
Yeah. I think for me, I wouldn't go out and get Rodgers right away. I'd wait till that 27, and you would also give you the time to see when people might come back or how they're functioning. But if you have him, he's a hold. I have him. I'm going to be holding. He's the guy to have over there, in my opinion, that 100%. Will always be involved and at a reasonable price. So for me, I'm going there. I think Ali, like you said, is just too expensive to validate up there. But those are the only two guys that I see as like offensively worth it. If you wanted to spring for like a Matty Cash or something like that, I might be a little confused, but say whatever.
I've thought about springing for Matty Cash, but I genuinely cannot have him in my FPL team. He is my least favorite player in the Prem. I hate that guy.
I didn't know there was so much hate.
Bro, Tottenham were charging like
is this
some
that,
form, and then he just obliterated not one but two of our team's ACLs.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my fucking God, I hate this guy. And like, he obliterated Bentancur's ACL. And then if I recall correctly, I could be making this up. It could be a little red haze taking over. But if I recall correctly, like Bentancur came back and then he injured him again after he was out for like a year with an ACL injury. Can't stand that guy.
That's crazy.
And he's fake Polish. He's like, he doesn't even speak Polish, but he plays for the Poland national team because he's not good enough to go for England. So fuck Matty Cash. This is your reminder. I will never put him in my team, even if he ends up being the best scoring asset. I'm biased.
Okay. That's good to know where we stand.
I feel like we did a pretty good game week review there. We talked through all the games. I waited to flash this until after we reviewed the games, just to see if, this is another Rob T graphic from Twitter. Definitely check him out. I think he's part of the Solio crew in some fashion. I'm not really sure. I don't use Solio, but maybe that's why I'm 745K. Maybe I should just let AI pick my team every week.
That was the best advertisement for Solio they've ever gotten.
I know, right? Yeah, I don't use it. Therefore, you should, because I am not doing well. But I don't know. It's just not fun to let AI pick your team every week, in my opinion. I want to try to play the game. But So yeah, I mean, Arsenal have potentially a double game week in 26. So that's the only thing I forgot to bring up earlier with the Arsenal assets is like that's probably a reason to stay on the Arsenal triple up.
Yeah.
And then they're just projected for like a lot of goals over the next couple. Now that's offset by potentially a blank in 31. Same with City assets. So that could be tricky if you load up on City assets, although I don't think a lot of people are going to. But um Liverpool are up there from a goal standpoint. United are obviously up there. Chelsea are obviously up there. Worth noting on Chelsea, though, that those numbers drop off pretty significantly in 28
Yep.
when, as discussed, when those easy fixtures end. So, like, Chelsea are probably up here, but a significant portion of that, I think, is weighted towards those next four and 24 through 27. And then Villa are kind of up there just because I think that they're relatively good. But then there's kind of like a dearth of options right there. So I think the attacking players are relatively clear. And then also, I think similarly, no major surprises from a clean sheet perspective. Obviously, Arsenal are probably the highest clean sheet odds because of the best defense. Liverpool are like weirdly up there, in my opinion.
It's so broken. That's so incorrect.
Right. And I also feel like Chelsea are really up there. Again, like, I think they're averaging like 35% in those next 4 game weeks, and then they're averaging 20% in the 4 game weeks after that. So if you have a Chalobah, I think you definitely need to have a plan to get out of your Chelsea assets like immediately in 4. So if you're wildcarding this week, you're presumably not getting a transfer. Let's say you're coming in like I am with no transfers. That gives you 3 transfers in 28, right? Do my math right?
4, right?
4.
Or I guess if you wildcard this week, now you're right, 3.
So yeah, that's just a word to the wise. Like, be cautious if you have 3 Chelsea assets because you're going to need to be able to get out of them, right?
For sure. I think what this screams to me is hopefully you've already prepared for this current run of fixtures. If you haven't, you're too late. You're missing some games here.
Yep.
But then looking ahead, what I'm really looking at there is that Chelsea drop off. Okay, where am I going from there?
Yes, who flips?
Yeah, that's when I start looking at Liverpool. That's when I start looking at I mean, I'm going to hold Rodgers, but that's where I have more confidence in Rodgers and would get him if I didn't have him. Then I'm looking, Newcastle looks a little better, but honestly, Brentford sticks out.
Brentford gets up,
like I said, Thiago
Bournemouth goes up too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a wildcarding this week is interesting because it lets me really aggressively tackle these like next couple games. But what I have to be really clear about is not only my plan for how I'm going to navigate that pretty big flip in like the 28-30 timeframe, but I really have to be conservative with my transfers once I lock in this wild card because I need the flexibility to not only transfer out all of my Chelsea assets in 28, but then accrue more transfers ahead of the doubles, presumably in 33.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you have to do, right? Just basically hope you can roll the next 3 weeks.
It's basically like I got a wild card this week, roll to 28, make transfers, and roll to 33.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully you get it right.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, that's the thing. I always say when you're doing a wild card, you got to plan for 50% of your picks being wrong. So we're just going to have to see if my nerve will hold. That being said, you want to get into your bus team and your transfer plans?
Yeah. Oh, nice. You got me. I love it.
I got you.
I have already made 2 transfers here. This is the bus squad. Literally Saturday before the price rise, I was looking at my team. I was pissed how the weekend had gone so far, and I had exact money to go Ekitike to João Pedro and Bruno G up to Bruno F. So I was like, I'm sending it. That feels like a no-brainer. Surely.
Feels very obvious.
Yeah. And they looked great this weekend. Obviously, they have the last 2 weeks. So hoping that just continues and obviously getting in on that Chelsea and United run of fixtures that we've talked about. So feeling very, very confident in those 2
I
picks.
really like this squad.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. The only thing is, and I don't need to get him out, right? Like, he's still on United. Dallow's still fine. He's just like the worst player here. But everyone else, I'm like, I'm all right with this.
Yeah, I mean, you could go down to like an Alderte if you wanted, if you have a spare transfer, or just like in play him for the occasional fixture. You'll probably lose some value on Dallo, but like whatever, you're probably not a big deal, and you have like at least a playable bench. That was again part of the reason why I needed to wildcards because I literally didn't have a functional bench. I had 3 dead spots up until this past week, versus you have 1 dead spot, and for some people that's a strategy. So,
for sure, no, that makes sense. I think to go forward from here, the headaches that I'm facing this weekend are basically Wilson versus Barry.
Yeah.
I
think you play Wilson, right?
I mean, I kind of want to play Barry, man.
I think that Wilson is more likely to score than Barry, but I think it's a legitimate. I mean, Man United's probably more likely to keep it clean than Barry is, right? If we just pull up this graphic again, like let's look at the clean sheet odds. So Man United has a 35% chance of cleaning.
Yeah.
Brighton has a 33%, so pretty close. Everton have a 1.1 projected goals.
Yeah.
Fulham have 1.0. So it's pretty. I really think you're just going to have to pick one, and then probably whatever you pick will be wrong. You'll just have to accept that.
Yeah, they're both away too. Like there's nothing I can pull at here. So
yeah, no,
it'll probably be Barry because he saved me and I love him and I'm his number one fan.
And honestly, that's the vibes pick we expect out of you.
Yeah, see, where I'm looking at going forward from here, I'm obviously weighing that Chalobah thing in the next game week. If I don't make it next game week, I don't think there's a reason to do it at all. So that's going to be that decision. Looking in the midfield, getting Enzo in right now. I certainly have some spare money, so I do want to get him in next week. Bumo is obviously on my radar, and I can just take Saka down to do that. So I have a few guys that I want to go after, and I'm kind of going to see after this game week which one is going to be the pick going into next game week.
Yeah, you got a lot of flexibility. Good squad. Pretty jealous, I'm not going to lie. It's amazing that you've ended up here. Clearly, I think that Green Arrows deserved this week.
Let's hope. We'll see. Here's the only last thing I'm going to say. You might be seeing that captaincy chip switch right on over to my other striker this week against West Ham.
I don't know, man. Spurs have been looked pretty abysmal. They do own City, like I've said, but
and it's at Tottenham.
Yeah.
Although you guys suck at home, so
we suck at home. We're worse at home, so it's actually
shit. But I don't want to blank Holland. Oh, whatever. All right, fine.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I mean it's a legitimate thing though. Those are both a horse apiece on projected clean sheets. Cool. All right. Well, we should probably get into Luke's team then.
Oh yeah, I forgot what we're doing this.
Right. God, the Three Winks mascot Nova, my cat just woke up and is walking on my keyboard and being needy as hell. What up? So apologies if she's rubbing up against the mic. So Luke, what did he do? That's not even his team. This is his bus team. Did he make transfers? Did he tell us?
He still has.
So Bowen, Ekitike, Holland, Mbumo, Wilson, Enzo, Fernandez, Rice. Okay, so he's brought in. So he got rid of Foden and somebody else and brought in Bumo and Fernandez.
Yeah, Garner.
Damn, how did he afford that? Must have had some money in the bank.
I guess.
Garner. I mean, great moves from Luke, not gonna lie. He's got Alderte playing against Burnley, which is pretty solid. Chow against Liverpool and Gabriel versus Leeds. He's also unfortunately stuck in that sort of Dorgu hole, like you said, and he's got Rodon, he's playing Arsenal. But I mean, having Bowen as the first guy off your bench isn't bad. And then obviously Raya versus Leeds. So pretty solid squad out of the Lukester there, I'd say. He brought up today the possibility of wildcarding in 28. I think to hit that fixture run, I think he's pretty well set up for this fixture run. So just kind of have to see that one goes.
Yeah. I think his headache is looking at Ekitike, Bowen. I like Wilson more than both of those guys this week, so that's not a headache to me. I'd keep him in. But Ekitike against Newcastle, which Liverpool's going to show up? We don't know. And I don't have confidence that it's going to be a good one. So I don't love that. But I mean, Bowen against Chelsea's brutal too. So.
Yeah, Newcastle did just hold off PSG today. So
that's crazy.
Pretty impressive.
That's a better attack than we are, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's true. They're a better attack than most people are, to be fair. Cool. Well, I didn't load in my team just because I have a wild card, and so I figured we would just discuss it a little bit. Right now, my wild card is, drumroll please, this. So I got Sanchez in goal, Gabriel Timber, Chalobah, Tarkas. I love it.
I found the drum roll.
So I got Gabriel, Timber, Chalaba, Tarkowski, Mukiele. It was not originally like this. I had Dorgu in there, and then he just unfortunately got injured. So I had to make some rapid fire substitutions. Gonna see if I could figure out who I transferred out. Initially, I had in. I don't even fucking know, man. I had somebody. I don't know. I liked it better, but then fucking Dorgu had to go and get injured and mess everything up. So that annoys me. Things that I am debating. One, Tiago for João Pedro. Do I just send that? It feels like this is probably the move that I'm most likely to make, like right now. The problem is that gives me
You already
3.
have 4.
Yes, that gives me 4 Chelsea assets. So then I'd have to find an alternative goalie.
Oh, get
And
Rose. Oh, he's 1. He's 0.1. I was gonna say Rose.
yeah, Rose is 0.1 too expensive for me right now.
I think. Hold on. I think we can. Oh, that's a tough 2 games after.
That's what I'm saying. He's really expensive, like 5 mil for.
He's the second highest goalie.
I know it's impressive, but I do like my boy Pickford, who I originally had in the team.
Yeah,
He's
that's
just pretty
expensive.
He's pretty damn expensive, but he is the highest scoring goalie. Scoring goalie. I think it needs some work. This is definitely not where I want to end up. Guys that I like: Wilson, Fernandez, and Bumo, obviously. Holland, maybe. Timber, Gabriel. Everybody else there is pretty on the chopping blocks, inclusive of Tarkowski, who I love. But just with some middling games, I'm wondering if there's some money to be saved. And then honestly, I'm a little like, just because the fixtures aren't that great for Tark, Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth, then United, Newcastle, Burnley, Arsenal. Like for the rest of the season, basically, the fixtures are not that convincing for the Everton assets, and he's 5.8 mil. And then Rogers, we've already talked about, we probably definitely want him into 27. Is he worth just bringing in now, or should I try to really be aggressive and capitalize on some guys? I just got to remember that I'm only going to have 3 transfers in 28.
Yeah.
So is potentially like bringing in Pedro for Tiago makes sense because that'll be a 1-for-1. But I got to have guys that I'm confident in beyond 3 weeks.
Yeah. First thought that I have looking at this wild card, I think, is what I shared with you, is this is such a template-owned team right now.
I agree. There's not enough differentials, and that's what I don't like about it.
Yeah. I mean, do we want to start dissecting? What do we think?
No, yeah, we're dissecting right now. It's live.
Okay, perfect. So I would bring João Pedro in like you have done here. And the guy I would want to get rid of Sanchez. I understand why you don't want to.
I don't really want Sanchez. I just goalie is the position I'm most likely to sacrifice on.
Well, we just talked about Pickford not having great. I still think Royce is the way to go, personally.
I could do Royce. It could be easy to fit him in.
Let's get next. I think we get Chalaba out.
Yeah, I think that they're going to clean in these next couple of games, but it's just damn expensive. And it frees up a lot of money. Now I have Royce and 5.5, so I could bring in Aguayi if I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I still have 0.3 in the bank for somebody else if I wanted it.
I mean, you could even hang on. We're talking about goalie. Now that we got rid of Chalaba, you could go Sanchez. If you think they're gonna clean the entire time.
Yeah, but if that's the argument, then I think it would make more sense to have Chalaba right with the DEFCONs. I mean, Sanchez alternates week on week between being the world's best goalie and looking like he doesn't know how to play the game. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Let's go back to Royce.
I was semi-tempted to go up to Raya just to capitalize on that Arsenal triple up on defense, but I think that I potentially want to get a Rice back in, especially because of what we discussed earlier.
I think that's the right call.
So if I go Royce in, who makes the cut for a Rice?
I mean, just from a money perspective, it has to be Enzo, right?
Yeah, but does that make sense?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean Enzo. I meant Rogers anyway when I spoke. That's my bad.
Yeah, it could be Rogers, and it makes more sense with the games that are coming up. It's just that with the Rice form, I'm a little concerned, but these are just such good fixtures.
I mean, can we clear Some space anywhere. Not really.
There's a lot of options. It's a tricky wild card this time because there's not a lot of guys who are screaming pick me, and there are a lot of guys who I want.
This is where, hold on. Let's go Wilson to Iari.
I don't really support that. I think I like
Write it out
Wilson.
with me first. Write it out with me for a second.
Let's try it.
Now we got
All right.
1.8. That's 1.8 to play with. Let's do something crazy.
All right. So Mook comes out for Chalapa, maybe.
Okay. He's going big. I like the big at the back.
Then what? I still have
0.7. All right, let's cook.
I would need a better goalie rotation because I don't want to play Royce against Arsenal and Liverpool.
Go get Verbruggen.
But Verbruggen's terrible, dude. I can't believe you're so high on the Verbruggen chain.
Love that.
He is not even in the screen on goalies.
I'm not sure why that's a problem.
Lower than Vicario. He's got 71 points, which makes him like the 20th highest scoring goalkeeper. And he's literally returned in like 2 of the last.
Yeah, but I played him during those 2 weeks. So I love him. Okay,
That's
fine.
great.
Let's go somewhere else.
I was thinking about potentially upgrading my goalkeeper to someone who I could just sit on. Like maybe if Timber's out or potentially out, this is just the time to get back into Araya, and then that's my 3 for the Arsenal double up. And maybe it's just that simple.
I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with that.
Like, I like having the double Arsenal defense, and maybe Timber's not going to be out for a little while, but Mikel Arteta's certainly not going to tell us.
And now you still have 6 million to play with to pick a great defender.
Yeah, I mean, alternatively, I don't have to pick a great defender, and I could go up on Mane and have better forwards. I probably can't go back up to like a Thiago. Nope, certainly not. But like a DCL is potentially unlocked, and then like bringing back in El Dirte.
Yeah, you could do that. I don't know if I love DCL though. Like, is that really like? Are you gonna play him?
No, and I don't think that the fixtures are that good. I also feel like he just hit like a small run of form when he was scoring every week, and probably regressing a little bit now, like 1-2, 8-2-2. You'd probably play him in select games, but that's kind of what you want as like your rotational forward, anyways, right? Like
I hear that, but I don't think you need to pay 6 million for it.
No, I agree. I didn't have him in the. If I look at forwards, total points. And he's the highest scoring cheap forward for sure. There's not really even an option that comes close. But do I just pick up a Barry for 5.7 and save the cash if I have all this spare cash anyways? Maybe I do just take it back to like Krippy. Or, someone I did consider for a little while was like, do I potentially with this 10 mil like try to work out a Evan Nielsen and have a pretty strong front line to capture some of those Bournemouth games? But I would have to sacrifice somewhere. Again, maybe that's taking Chalobah down again.
Yeah.
It feels like it's trying to force a lot into my forward line. I don't really feel like I need that.
I don't think you do either. Okay. I think you go. I would go. If Krupi's not going to play, though, that's a tough one.
If I get rid of Timber and I bring in Raya, what does that get me? That gets me 5.3. I can keep Wilson.
Yeah.
And I got rid of Rodgers and brought back in Rice.
So now you're okay.
Bring in Gahey.
Certainly could.
0.4 left. Leaves me money in a couple weeks to get into Rodgers again if I wanted, but I'm not really sure for who. This also just got to bring back in Joe Pedro. I got 0.4. Is there anybody that I would want to upgrade on the forward line? Definitely not.
Do you think Mukiele could go up to anyone?
Groupie for 0.1, and then maybe Mook up. I mean, I did think about dropping Tarkowski down to a Keane for the 4.7. I could bring in Matty Cash if I really wanted to, or bring in a Senesi for those Bournemouth games.
Could do that. I don't hate that.
Exact money.
That's
a pretty solid team. I actually don't hate this at all.
I think you have enough safe picks there, and then you have enough that aren't necessarily safe but are capitalizing on everything. I'd say it's a good combo. I agree.
Yeah, so if I just go back, I pulled up another tab just to flash what I had before we started messing with it. So this is the Sanchez, Chalobah, Enzo, Thiago are the main differences. You could probably just assume Thiago will be Pedro and then Rogers, right? The main differences that we've made is now we have Krupi, we've brought in Pedro, we got Rice, Raya, which I like a little bit better from a goalkeeper's perspective, to be honest with you. And this enabled Guehi and a better Senesi, who I think is maybe better than Mook. The only problem is, like, if Mook's going to be my fifth defender and I'm going to play him sporadically, like, it might just be nice to have him against, like, a Burnley, Fulham.
Yeah, but I think Senesi has those same fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Wolves and just generally, he's playable in more games in the near term.
For sure.
I don't hate this at all. I think this is pretty solid. It gets me some differentials, but like not that many. It's still a team that leaves me really primed for this upcoming week. It's still, I'm actually just going to make these transfers now. I think I like it. Who do I play then? So probably Pedro against West Ham.
Yo.
But like, God, I don't want to bench anybody. Maybe Tarkowski comes out to Brighton.
Oh, that's so sad. Yeah, I think you're right, but like, that's tough to do.
That's the problem with wildcarding when every player you wildcard into is great. It's because you don't actually need to play them. And that's one of the reasons why when I was looking at my original wildcard draft before Dorgu went and messed it up, I had Rodgers and I had Thiago. And the plan was really just to bench them in the next three, but have them. Because the problem is if I'm getting out of a João Pedro, I can get out of João Pedro fairly easily. I don't have a good way to get back into Rodgers. You know, maybe I transfer Chalobah, Enzo, and I don't know. I guess let's look at that real quickly. So if I go João Pedro out, Chalobah out, and Enzo out, and then I have relatively similar money. Just to bring in, you know, so we'd probably at that point in 28 go back to Thiago, who's MIA, and then try to bring in Rodgers, who I expect will continue to rise. That would leave me 4.5. So maybe I could bring in a really cheap defender if the prices don't go too crazy on me.
Yeah.
I like it. That's viable. That gives me a path to get back into the two guys I want to and divest from my Chelsea assets with the rest of the team being fairly solid in that run, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you have the Arsenal to cover off. I think the only thing you might be missing would be looking at a Liverpool guy, but you can get over that, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think like I might want a Liverpool guy, but I don't think that I'm going to have, like, again, if we're looking at Wirtz right now, and he proves to be the guy, like I'm probably not going into that until 28 at the soonest, and then maybe United are just a flash in the pan right now and they regress a little bit, which I would expect some of after the new manager bounce. Their fixtures kind of flip on their head, so maybe the natural exit point to get into a Liverpool guy would just be like a Mbuma out, but keep my Fernandes asset.
Yeah, I could see that. I like that.
I honestly dig this team a lot. I feel pretty good about it. Are there any, from the guys we discussed, are there any real holes? I feel like I'm doing a fairly good job of attacking the fixtures. I have the triple up on Arsenal, which we want, covers the game week 26. I have a Guehi and a Holland. I don't have Semenyo, which I would maybe like if I could afford him, but he's 7-8 right now.
You could do him instead of, well, you don't want to do him instead of Rice, probably.
No, because that was unfortunately the money that we got to get like Raya in was at the cost of like a Semenyo or similar price with Rodgers.
No, I know.
But I mean, from a defensive perspective, having Bournemouth don't have like super high clean sheet odds. They actually flip. So Senesi might just be a long-term hold for me. Everton don't look great on this. So that's the one guy I'm wondering, as much as I love Tarkowski, like, do I need to continue to invest that much money in Tarkowski going forward?
He's just so consistent. Right?
He is. Like, and I look at him, he's exactly what I want from a guy. He's getting like 4 to 8 points in pretty much every game.
I know.
The games where he's not, his floor is 4 and he's the second highest scoring defender. So every part of every bone in my body tells me to keep a Tarkowski. It's just the problem that I made a mistake where I transferred him out earlier in the week because I didn't think I was going to have him on my wild card when I had my first draft, and bringing him back in lost me a lot of value. Like I had him for like 5-5. And then when Dorgu got injured, I had to reshuffle a little bit and I brought him back in, and that's when I lost some money. So I made an initial wildcard draft right at the deadline on Saturday just to like get ahead of all these price rises to give myself some flexibility, and then proceeded to lose it all once Dorgu got injured. So kind of bummed about that. I had potentially some more money to play with, but I think that really Tarkowski is the only guy that I'm looking at, because as much as I love him, I'm just trying to look at like, is there some value to be had by sacrificing him, right? Like if I got rid of him and freed up, a mill, right? Like if I brought in Mukiele again, I could take Enzo up to like a Semenyo. Enzo's on pens, but I don't think Chelsea have looked that good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm scared to do that one. I don't know if I like that.
I don't either. Semenyo's minutes aren't guaranteed. We don't know if he's going to keep playing. It's just the City run's great. I know they've been on a low patch of form.
But that's not, yeah, I know. You don't have unlimited transfer. Yeah, I get it.
The only other thing that I will say is if you got rid of Haaland, the things that you could afford, I've seen some people toss around Haaland drafts. I really wouldn't advise it. I think it's inevitable that he does come back. But man, the shit you can afford if you get rid of Haaland is nuts. You could bring in a Watkins and an Evan Nielsen. You could have a front line of Thiago, João Pedro, and Evan Nielsen, and still have $5 million in the bank. Then you're upgrading like Wilson to somebody. You could have Palmer if you wanted. It's amazing what happens when you don't have the robot in your team, but I really just wouldn't advise against it. 72% owned is a guaranteed massive rank hit if he does score.
Yeah, but I know it does look enticing.
Oh, I drafted a Haaland draft, which you said without Haaland draft, which you said you didn't like, and I unfortunately don't have a Mack, so I can't just like share my texts easily. But it was a pretty insane team, if I do say so myself. Just to give you guys an overview, it was Pickford and Dubravka in the back line, Gabriel, Gahey, Timber, Chalobah, Tarkowski. So a huge back line. Just an absolutely massive set of boys back there. Then Fernandez, Rogers, and Bumo, Enzo, Semenyo. Crazy. And then Evan Nielsen, Thiago, and Watkins. So that's what premium guys are for. If premium guys aren't scoring, why have them? But at the same time, these City fixtures get better. Like I would expect that his form would improve.
Wait, can you? I want to just plug in the one that I sent last night. That was a little crazy.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Just to look at it. So your front line right now, we'll just go top to, and we can change goalies if we want, but top to bottom, the Krupi's going to turn into Evan Nielsen.
Yep. On it.
Then we're going to take Rice, and we're going to make him Iari. It's an aggressive start by me, but
yeah. No, I dig it though.
Bumo's in, Enzo's in, Wilson turns into Soboslai, which again you could honestly take or leave. You save money if you stayed at Wilson, but
okay, Sobo.
You're here. Okay, so we have Gabriel. This was before Timber had any knock on him, so I did have Timber in here.
That's the thing. I'm not convinced I want to get out of Timber necessarily is the other problem, even though I just made those transfers only because he's great, but
he is. So he's there, and then Chalobah's in. Instead of Gahey, put in Murillo.
That is insane.
Just ride with me for a second. And then okay, so my goalies are different. I have Royfs, and I don't know if you're going to have enough money for this. I had enough money for this.
Well, you're also ranked 251K, so I'd hope you have enough money for this. You had Royce and who?
For Bruggen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm off by 1.5 mil. I had that money and then proceeded to lose it all when I made those transfers.
Oh
Because I
man,
also transferred Rogers out and then had to bring him back in, so I lost some significant value this week,
I'm
which sucks.
sorry.
No, it is what it is. It was just the Dorgu injury, unfortunately, messed up the best laid plans of Mack and men. But yeah, I think this is a pretty solid team. I'm going to keep
I
playing
think
with
that's a
this.
very good team.
I'll tweet more. The only thing that I'm wondering about, and that I'm really gonna have to sit down and plan FPL and look at, is like, who am I bringing in that I'm realistically not going to play in the next couple weeks because the game weeks are good, and then what is my exit strategy in 28? Who do I have to get rid of, and do I have enough transfers? That's going to be some offline homework for me. I'll tweet out the results. But yeah, I already like this team better than the team that I had before with
Yeah.
Mukiele and Timber and Sanchez. I wasn't confident about the goalie. I didn't like Rogers. I didn't like Thiago. Wasn't super confident about Mane. So I feel like this is a team that is very primed to attack the next set of fixtures. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, agreed. I think part of your research is just, I think it has to be those 3 Chelsea guys that you probably want out of.
Yep.
Would be my guess.
Gonna get rid of those guys immediately in 28.
Yeah, but I think that's why a guy like Senesi makes a lot of sense. You're supporting guys you just have to look at for that. What are their game week 28s?
Exactly. It's just purely going to be a rotation. Like, does the rotation make sense? Does it make more sense to bring in a Rogers now and just bench him for 3 weeks? Or does it make more sense to bring in a Thiago and just hold him for 3 weeks at the expense of someone like a Chalobah? I also got to do a little bit of research on the Chelsea defense. I'm not convinced that they looked amazing. But yeah, I think that's a wrap. I like the live dissection that we've done. We'll get Luke's input and then ignore it.
As we should. I don't want to be 1.3 mil.
Right. Well, hey, I'm getting closer to him than I am to you at this point, so maybe I should listen to some advice.
That's why we're here.
Cool.
We fixed it. It's turning around this week.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us. This has been 3 Wanks FPL minus a wank. Good luck in game week 24.
Good luck, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.